Welcome to episode 9 of Grapplingpodden. Today we have a very special guest. His name is Joshua Manczak. He's from Denmark, a black belt under Shimon Mochizuki from Arte Suave of Copenhagen. With several medals at the IBJJF circuit and Abu Dhabi World Pro circuit, he has cemented his name as one of the best grapplers in Scandinavia for the past 10 years. In this episode, we talk a bit about his accomplishments, his path in jiu-jitsu, his training, and his mindset. If you like what you hear, please like, share, and subscribe. Please follow us on Instagram at Grapplingpodden to stay up to date with the newest episode. We have a lot more coming up in the near future. And also, please follow Joshua on Instagram at ZebraBJJ. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy episode 9 with Joshua Manczak. Would you like to speak Danish, English, or Swedish?
English is perfect.
Yeah, I think you have fans in both countries, so let's catch all of the listeners in English.
Yeah, let's do that.
I was actually today in your old academy, Arte
Really?
Suave.
Yeah,
Yeah, they had a seminar with Giancarlo Bodoni.
fantastic. Was it good?
Yes, it was good. The first time I've been to Arte Suave, actually.
Yeah,
Great
man,
place.
fantastic. Now one of the biggest in Europe, I think.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
what, what did you get? Did you teach anything good there?
Yeah, we were doing Ashigarami and entries to Ashigarami when they are on both knees, on one knee, and standing up.
Okay, that's
So
a little uncommon for Giancarlo Bodoni. You don't really hit that much in competitions.
maybe it's coming soon.
I was thinking more like he was probably gonna show some defense. I feel like they have done greater things from there, from defensive wise than attacking wise.
He stayed for like more than 1 hour and just answered people's questions, and then people asked him a lot about escapes.
Yeah, okay, perfect. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
But let's talk about your latest competition, Swedish Nationals. Could you walk us through about uh, going into the competition, how it felt, some of your preparations, and then the matches and the result?
Yeah, for sure. I fought the Swedish nationals 3 weeks ago. I beat a strong opponent in my first fight. I was very surprised with his grip breaking. I can't remember his name. It was a purple belt, which went on to beat a black belt after. But I was very surprised with his strength and his grip breaking. Myself, I wouldn't say I had the best prep. I was sick leading up to, and that was not optimal. Probably shouldn't have participated, but as soon as you register your name and people want to see you fight, I think it's very important to show up to the tournaments, because if we don't do it here in Sweden, the Swedish national championship will hold no value if the best people don't fight, right? Like in
Mm,
Denmark, we have that. So I really find it like a big thing that when you win the Swedish nationals here, you're really considered a Swedish champion. I think I've been one of the best in Denmark for many years, but I have had nothing to prove it against because many of the best people don't show up. So when I came, I don't feel optimal, but it was a. I still think I did a really good display. I went to the finals against Adam from Malmö, really strong player, like great athlete. I felt like I was not in the place I would like to be physically, but
mm,
felt like yeah, I felt a totally dominant display of jiu-jitsu. Not even one attack from him until the point of him getting a footlock. You couldn't see the match while watching it, but I feel like in the middle of the match, I was about to have on 2 submission attempts. I came up on the back take. I felt like I was almost in cruise control. I couldn't really explode because of my situation, but I felt very dominant at that point. I jumped up on his back and fell off, and they gave him 2 points off of that, which was like I've talked to multiple referees here in Sweden, which was like uh, a little bit sketchy since there was
Yeah.
no attempt. I just literally jumped on his back. He shrugged me off, and he got 2 points.
Then it shouldn't
Uh,
be 2 points.
no, exactly. And if you look at it multiple times in that match, I didn't come on top, even though I could. But I also felt my situation of health. I couldn't come on top because I could feel like he still had a lot more scramble in him. I would
Mm.
like to wait like the 7 minute mark if I didn't get it perfect. But he began pushing, and I play a really nice dynamic half guard style, doing a lot of nice entries and so on. And he gets into my half guard, and because of I'm stressed about these 2 points, I do a scissor sweep. And if you look through the whole match, all other situations, I had like 3 to 4 situations where I could run up on him, but I didn't because I didn't have inside positioning.
Mm.
But I got behind on 2 points. I got a clean scissor sweep, and he landed directly in a straight foot lock. And if it was so, I think if I didn't have these 2 points behind, I wouldn't have taken top position on such a dominant and strong opponent. Not dominant, but like physical strong opponent. Um, Nonetheless, this guy's fantastic. He got one shot. He executed. It was really cool that he could get it done in that scenario. And I'm super happy for him getting a Swedish title. He don't have one yet.
Mm.
A cool guy, and it's nice that the division gets mixed up a little bit. Like that's my take on it. I'm not really sad about my performance compared to where I was in my situation, but I'm of course not happy with the result.
Yeah.
But if it could be one guy that won over me, definitely Adam is one of the cooler guys to lose to. Really good athlete, really good person. I hope it was. I really wish it was different, but you shoot your shots, and if I've beaten him that day, I would have probably not have talked about it. So and if I got his foot, I would have done the same. It was just like perfect on. As soon as he got it, it was like Aoki lock style.
Yeah.
Um, Before I even registered it, I was like in a full blur. My foot was exploding, so he just got it on. Amazing.
It happens. It happens. I wanted to ask you, what's your take on, for example, you fought a purple belt and a brown belt. What's your take on mixing belts in the Swedish nationals? There have been some mixed opinions about it. Some like it, some don't like it. What's your take on it?
My take on it is it's really good because the belt don't really describe your level. Like I remember already as a purple belt, like let's say as a white belt, I was already tapping black belts in the training room, like hobbyist black belts, not world champion black belts. But I think it's important that we give the youth, especially the youth, the young people who are purple belts. Maybe on the international scene they're purple belts, but here at home they could as well compete with black belts.
Yeah.
I know, like we just don't have that big of a scene, bro. We're not Brazil. We're not America. Like you see time and time again, somebody like Marlon dominating the scene,
Yes.
Max dominating the scene as a purple belt, brown belt. So it's like, who are we to say that when purple and brown belts win the division? Like if a brown belt, like that, I think there's only one person in all of Sweden that has that opinion, and he can go in and fight. Uh, some good purple belts and brown belts that I think will give him more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if it's that is said, like I think it's only one person in Sweden that have that opinion. I think it's so cool to watch somebody like Adam get a shot at me, and he tapped me, man. He got that. It sucks for me, yeah, but it just also shows it don't matter about the belts. I
Yeah.
think it's a really cool thing, and it gives, like, for the old guys, it gives like you have to defend your grounds. For the young guys, you have to prove your grounds. I think
Yeah.
it's like the UFC. Like you go on a losing streak 2 fights, and all of a sudden you're fighting somebody out of the top 10 that wants to
Yes.
the top 10. It's the
Mm.
same here. Like now, somebody like Adam really cemented his name in Scandinavian Jiu-Jitsu just by one fight. And
Yeah.
I really think it's fantastic. I wish I had the opportunity when I was younger to do that in Denmark. So
Mm.
it's just about, I think in the last then it's just to prove who's best in Sweden. And when you're
Yeah.
to a certain level, like judo, like anywhere else, like you have trained for 5 years, bro, let's get it on. It's
Yeah.
I was a blue belt submitting black belts at like tournaments, at these no-gi tournaments, and I found that cool. So who am I to say to switch it?
Yeah.
And I think it's better for the Swedish nationals. We had a bracket for purple belts, a bracket for brown, bracket for black. I maybe wouldn't even have a fight.
Yeah, that's the problem. I think there are so few people, so you wouldn't even fill up a black belt division for the Swedish nationals. Um,
100%.
but I think it's good that they made the rules that everybody fight in black belt.
Both
Black belt rules.
I wrote that to SB, like, bro, like, why are we playing? But one thing I think that could be fun is not having 10-minute matches, like having AGP matches, 6 minutes,
Yeah.
lot more in value. Like look at for example me and Adam's fight. It was a 6-minute fight, but in that fight, it was one big scrap for 6 minutes. If the fight had kept going and maybe Al got on top or he had been on top, probably one would have like shut it down and just held more or less until the
Yeah.
point of as to mount to this to that. Like it don't get much more entertaining when you go over the 6 to 7 minute mark.
Mm.
Entertainment value. Like for example, this year it was more of like a super fight setting almost the SM, and I really like that vibe because it's an entertainment value. But the 10-minute matches in the gi ain't all that.
Mm. When I watched it, it looked like the competition was very small, but people who were there live, they said it was very, very good and very well organized.
It was very small, but like how many people are gonna come to Stenungsund? Like
Yeah, that's true.
I would never have been in that area if it wasn't SM.
Did you compete back in the days in Stenungsund in Swedish Open?
Yeah, man. First time 2012.
That was a great competition. Too bad it's not running anymore.
Yeah, I think it's to give opportunity to other tournaments also to shine. Nordic have really been shining. Dotski have been doing well. Malmö Open have been doing well. Like
Yeah,
it's not like the competition scene went away. It's just that the Nordic Open became the biggest one now.
yeah. I wanted to ask you about your beginnings in jiu-jitsu. When did you start? Where? How? Um, and what led you to jiu-jitsu basically from the beginning?
I did a little bit of martial arts previously. My dad does martial arts as well. I did martial arts, so I think I always fought since I was small. Uh, just give me a reason and I'll fight. So and I had an older brother who fought all our lives and multiple times a day. So one day I was just with my good friend who was one of the biggest talents here in Scandinavia, probably the biggest talent I've ever seen. Um, and I just met up at a like fritids after school when I was 13, 14, and we are gonna hang out. And all of a sudden, we had wrestling mats out. And man, I could do like a lot of push-ups. I could run 5 kilometers. I could do pull-ups already at 13. I was on a like, I felt strong. I thought I would whip his ass, and then he almost choked me unconscious. And then I saw his girlfriend, who was like, they were like 14 years old. Like we're all
Yeah,
friends. She never went to a training really. She went to like 2 practices, but they just trained at the fritis for fun. And she armbarred big guys. She was also super. So I was just like, okay, let's go to that place. Like let me hang along. And then it was so that my mom and dad are like separated. So I went to my dad's house after school, which is far away from my mom's neighborhood where my best friend at the time lived. Um, and I called him like, bro, it's time where we don't have the iPhones are not like that, and you have 1 gigabyte a
yeah,
month, and then it's done. So I call him. I say, man, let's let's go. And then he's like, yeah, it's in this area of town. It's in Nørrebro. It's called in Copenhagen. And I say, man, on the card it says Nordvest, which is an area next to that place. But I don't want to take any risks. So I go because when as soon as I leave my house, I don't have Wi-Fi anymore. There's no
aha,
internet. So I go from my dad's house in Norvis, where just next to the location, all the way to in the traffic hours to my mom's neighborhood, which is like 40 minutes. I meet my friend. We take the same goddamn bus all the way back to my dad's stop. walk past his house with 30 meters or 40 meters, and we're there. So, so I took a 2 hour 40 meters, and I've never seen it because it was next to like. Have you been in the old Art Suave before?
No, no. Today was the first time that I've been to Arte Suave, actually.
Okay, so it was not as nice. It was just a fucking disgusting basement.
The yellow
Like,
mat. Did they
yeah,
have the
exactly.
yellow mat? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yellow mat and like I think like when I just started, they just got the yellow mats because
Ah,
they had a flood 2 weeks before, or not a flood, but you understand, like the
yeah,
mats got. But then I went there. It was like my dad lived in a sketchy neighborhood. It was next to like how do you say a sketchy mechanic place down in the basement. In On top of it was just like sketchy office spaces, and in the bottom, like it was Art Suave. And
mm.
we went there, and my friend was like, "Oh, you're a tough guy." Yeah. Then he was first day we did 3 hours of training, like in a row, like 3 to 6, and like I was so fascinated. I got beat up by like, when you're 13 years old and you're a little bit strong, you think you will run the world, like you think you can beat up grown men and shit. I probably also could, but it was like I came down there, and Ida Hansson, which is one of the best female black belts,
Yeah.
but she's now a doctor in Jönköping. Uh, she beat my ass so bad. And then there was a guy called Frank. Like he looked really out of shape. He just laid on top of me, like almost smothered. I couldn't believe it, man. If in my head, if I met those two people in an alley, I would kill them. But they
Yeah.
they almost made me cry that day. And my friend played with me. Like he was like the biggest talent out of Denmark back then. He like, bro, with no training, he beat Umar Umran twice. No training.
What?
Like I'm telling you, bro. Like literally, what he went to Swedish Open, beat him, like, and he hadn't trained for half a year. Like he trained 3 times before.
Yeah.
Year goes, Imad comes, or like 5 months go, I can't remember. A longer period goes. Imad comes to Denmark, and like I think he's like on a redemption thing. Want to get this guy back
Yeah,
at the
yeah, yeah.
feather. Literally, that friend of mine
But
was
who
training
is he still training?
like so once in a while he comes back to training and so on. Now he's the best barber in Copenhagen. Like literally has like his own shop, marble floors, 10 people standing and cutting for him. So it's like he chose that over he chose partying and barbering
Yeah, yeah.
over jiu-jitsu. Back then there was no money in jiu-jitsu, so it made a lot of sense. Like he was barbering like all our friends for 50 krona a piece and becoming rich out of that. Now he's doing it
Yeah.
for 600, so
Cool.
with that said, like I was really inspired just by the environment, and everybody liked to train hard down there. It was not a hobbyist academy.
Mm.
Everybody competed. We're like 60 members. Every single member went and fought Swedish Open. We took like four minibuses, 5 minibuses up to Stenungsund. So that was like it was very including, and as long as you worked hard, everybody was really nice towards you, and that's the start of it. And of course, like my master was there. Everybody, like Alexander Trans, I got to see pictures of him. Like so, I thought like, hey man, if I just worked hard, I can make it here.
Yeah.
That's more or less the beginning of it.
When did you realize that you wanted to pursue jiu-jitsu as a career, like professionally compete and try to win championships?
Very early on, like just I think more or less the first day, like
Yeah.
I felt was like this is way too much fun not to do all the time. And then I think it was like also one thing that attracted me was I had an older brother that beat my ass so bad, you know. And in this place, like I love fighting, but it was really nice that I could say stop, like tap home. So that was like the main thing, And then I think I was like in school, I would say I feel like at least the average person, smart wise, maybe more than that. But in school, I was heavily dyslexic. So the only thing the teachers told me was like, he's not good, he's not good. And then I came to academy where I worked hard, and every time I worked hard, I just saw I could then I could beat one guy up, then I could beat another guy up, and it really whatever I put in paid off. Where it was with I did soccer before, and that was man, some kids on my team, they don't show up sometimes, and then we lose matches because they're not in shape. And then I skated for a long while, rollerblading, and it was too friendly. I had to skate against all my friends. I want to beat people. I don't want to see my friend sat in the corner after I beat his ass.
Yeah.
And cheer him up. No, I want to. Yeah, you understand? It's not. It's much more fun to give a whipping than heja på min kompis in the way of in skating. It's you're gonna skate with your friends, and then afterwards you're gonna compete with them directly after, and then you have to yeah, man, so cool, that's cool, you just beat my ass,
Yeah.
Then it was really easy for me to choose. And as I said, now later on I've done school and I did really well, but I felt I wasn't ready to do school at that point. The teachers was negative. They didn't give me positive acknowledgement. So it was just every time, man, I did 1 to 2 hours extra work every day for 7 years of my life. And every time I come to a school meeting, they're like, he's still behind. He's still behind. So I just retired in school. But now I did my school and I did really well because I was motivated and got it done,
Did you actively choose not to go to school to pursue jiu-jitsu, or did school just not work out in general when you were younger?
Yeah, I took some choices throughout the way. I before I won my first European Championships as a juvenile, I began twice a week not showing up for my chemistry and physics classes because it was a teacher that didn't like me and just wasn't. Let's just say he was teaching at a level like you maybe would do in university in the way of it was very dry and very boring, not including. I understand you do that if people chose that line of let's say university. Nobody takes a line in your university without wanting it. Where in high school or in elementary school,
you have to do it.
Yeah, you have to do it. And he was me. I think he was. I don't know. He was not nice. He was not this and that. So I just took choices. And they've been calling my mom home, and I went to my coach and lied about it. I wouldn't tell all the kids don't do that because it will haunt you later. But I felt it benefited me more in that situation, and it really did. For me there, so I went to morning classes and sparred twice a week, and after school I always did between 2 to 4 hours of training. So it was yeah. And then when high school came around, I got into a sports class, and all of them were just unserious athletes. Literally, they were I'm on the Danish national team in beach volley, and I'm training twice a week. Bro, you're not an athlete. In my mom thinks more than that, And then they're smoking cigarettes at the side, and some of them were soccer players, and they were actually getting paid to be soccer players, for big teams, big talents. But their work ethic was not there. It's just that they've done it since they're 3 years old, and they were athletic. So I just felt it was a very different how do you say, very different vibe. I felt none of them was professional. Some of them turned to be some professional players later, but at that point we're definitely not on the same mindset. So I chose to not go to school, and my parents gave me trouble for it. Then they put me in a high school where it's only for adults, where you have to do one class at a time, but I chose also not to show up for that. Then I went to Sweden. I won World Pro as a juvenile, and I got to learn or I got to know Max Lindblad, down in Abu Dhabi in 2014, and we bonded. And next thing I know, I was up in Stockholm doing a camp or two, and the coach at Prana recognized my talent, and I was not allowed to drop out of school from my mom, but he talked to my mom, and all of a sudden I could come to Sweden. it was not with my blessings from my parents. Like they, I think my parents knew no matter what, I'm gonna do my own thing. So it's like either it's supporting me or it's I'm gonna do no matter what. So they just asked for me, please do your education later in life, and I
Mm.
said, of course I will. But for now, I'm so much behind compared to all the other kids because I started at 13, 14, and I'm like, I was fighting worlds and Europeans. I was winning some of it, but I still like, I looked at some of the kids and they were like, man, they're like 8 years into their career. They're like playing the game like I didn't. Now I understand it. You understand?
Yeah.
Like years after the point I'm fighting them, I understood what they're doing strategically, like
Yeah.
playing the bounce, playing like different as a um, but then I knew like, okay, man, if I have to make it in this, I have to turn it up. It's not enough doing 3 hours a day. I have to do 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day, and that's what I did. Then I moved to Sweden at a certain point because in Suave we had so many great athletes, but at a certain point they were like more fighters. You know, like I would also call myself a more of a scrappy. I'm a technician, but like if you ever train with me, you'll see I have a dog in me, and I like to do it a little rough in my jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And from them because they like beat the shit out of me when I was younger. But at a certain point, they're like scrappiness. They're very based on scrambles. All my training partners.
Mm.
Uh, and then at a certain point, like they keep losing tournaments. I'm like 2 points, one advantage. Sometimes I even saw some of the training partners doing 9 advantages on somebody, and the guy winning on 2 points over them. But like, you understand? So at a
Yeah.
certain point, those guys were like, and now they're some of the best MMA people in Scandinavia. But they were like, fuck IBJJF, fuck all these. Like I paid 2,000 kroner, and then you're gonna send me out for 2 points, even though I smashed the person. So they went
That's
into
I can understand that.
yeah, but like they went into MMA and did really well, and
Yeah.
I understand them. But for me, it was really sad because I had like 3 to 4 training partners that were actually could make it in jiu-jitsu, just that they changed stuff up, but their personality just didn't align with
Mm.
uh, playing like a strategic game and this and that. Then uh, I saw like the Swedish scene going up. Then I said, man, let's move to Stockholm. I lived on the gym on the mats for almost a year, like when I was 16,
Wow.
17 years, training with Max. It was the golden era of Swedish Jiu Jitsu. Finn Fu and Kenta Hammerstrom, they merged in Prana for one
Yes.
year. That was
Yeah.
that I was there. Like the amount
Wow.
of knowledge was in that room. Max Lindblad, Adam came by. A lot of like champions from Rio, from the favela, came to Sweden to train with us. Like many like top names that you see today winning world championships and so on was in that room. Like at that point, and it was such a blessing, but it was also way too hard for me. It was almost like I would say like almost like I lived in the gym, so I couldn't skip any classes, and it was almost like
Mm.
a rush routine. So we trained like between 4 to 6 hours a day, 5 days a week, and Sunday we did like 3 hours. So it's a routine that you can only do if you're on supplements that are not allowed. So and it was much more about being tough than it was actually being innovative about jujitsu, where uh, I would rather use nowadays 2.5 hours of training and have 1.5 hour fully focused on developing something and 1 hour on like maybe sparring hard or
Yeah.
weights than doing 6 hours where it's just like I wanted more than everybody else. I think in the first years you have to do it, but later on you can't.
How was the training different to compared to Denmark? You mentioned that in Denmark they were more scrappy, a lot of scrambles. Were they more technical in Sweden, or in what ways was it different?
Let's just say like in Denmark it was more of a fight with my training partners. Like
Yeah.
Sweden, it was like it was still scrappy, but it was also like technical. Like in Denmark, like they won't fight over 2 points, but like I come to Stockholm and Finn Fu would kick my teeth out for 2 points. You know, like and if I tap him, he'll rip my foot over like next round. You know, like it was like it was like if you take 2 points on somebody, you're gonna feel it the next 2 months. You know, like that they want to get you back on it if you're not supposed to get 2 points on. In my master's academy, it didn't matter. It was just a fight all the time. You're not gonna feel that you scored 2 points on somebody. That was like
Yeah,
the different vibe, you know. But
yeah,
one thing I can say is like at my master's academy in Denmark, personally, I think it was like my master's the one of the most knowledgeable people I've ever met in jiu-jitsu. So like I had constantly. I'm a big nerd myself. I've always watched huge amounts of jiu-jitsu and love teaching it. So it was really, I'm really compatible with my master in Denmark in that way because I can always go and ask him questions and we could talk and refer to different things. Kenta's the same, Finfu is also the same, but it's like, it's more about like hard work than it is about developing your skill, I felt. And I think everybody needs that at some point, like knowing that you can go with the best in the world in a room. And I really learned that in that period. Like, I was not the most dominant, but I could definitely, if anybody slipped in that room, I'll submit them, you know, and
yeah.
that gave me like a confidence. I was definitely not the best in that room, but you couldn't slip against me, and I was only like 2.5 years into my career at that point, 3 years, and that gave me a real confidence of keep pushing for it, you know. After
Mm.
that, though, I had to leave because it was just too hard and too much for me in that room. It was not about developing my jiu-jitsu, it was just getting tough, I feel, uh, which everybody needs, but at a certain point my body couldn't handle it, and probably because yeah, I wasn't on gear, you know, like so like, and many of the older athletes, if they wasn't on anything or like if they were not 17 years old, they didn't live under a person's roof,
Yeah,
so they had choices not to show up. You know, they could stay home if they felt bad. Like
yeah.
when my menisc locked, I still had to train. You know,
Oh,
like it's not that I had to, but it was like a common agreement. If you stay in the gym, you train all
okay.
classes in the mat, you do your weights every day. Like, uh, so, like, my body really took a hit from that period. Like, doing heavy weights, doing like 4 to 5 hours of jiu-jitsu a day. I'd rather look at the long run if I could ask somebody youth wise, like if I could do it over. If that's I had, man, I'm still dealing with some of the things today that I broke down
Mm.
7 years ago, you know.
Yeah.
So that's like I feel it was separated. It was tough and more like technical in the when it comes to like leader approach in Denmark and Sweden.
uh, I would like to ask you about let's say somebody is listening to this about your path. You slept at the gym and you worked hard. What kind of tips do you have for young athletes who want to make it today, based on your experience? Like not just jujitsu, but also like how to go about your career, how to do all of these different things. What kind of tips would you give to someone?
I think you just should look at the long run. You know, like I think it's very hard to do it when you're young. Like I'm still young, but I still feel uh, I suffer from my choices I did earlier in life of overtraining still
Yeah.
today. I've had herniated, like 3 herniated discs, 4 knee operations, so on. And that's because I didn't listen to my body. Instead of thinking so much about, yeah, at a certain point, it's just not, is not going to help you more in your jiu-jitsu that you train. Like after the 3 hour point every day, I don't think it's going to help you that much more. It would be better that you sit and watch jiu-jitsu and like you make a plan over what you want to do and maybe reflect over your training instead of training more. Like
Yeah.
training more doesn't mean you get better. It just means that you're a tough person, you know. If I could say one thing like that inspired me the most, or what I would say to myself if I was younger, is like try to do it different. Try not to take a Brazilian approach or an American approach or something. Like look at it. Okay, if I try to do, of course you should copy stuff that is successful, but try to make your own. Try to be
Yeah.
innovative about it. When I go to training now, like I have one training partner nowadays. I train with Liam Elping like 2 to 3 times a week. We train alone. We put like no timer on and we go 1.5 hour and
Sparring.
literally sparring. But it's like at a moderate pace. You know,
Yeah.
some days harder. Maybe we do 40 minutes. Some days we're just feeling like scrapping. Other days we do 1.5 hour, where it's at a moderate pace. Where when stuff happens, we stop the round, we look at it, we talk about it, we go over again that situation. If we can't figure it, we go out and get DVDs of people
Mm.
who are good, look at what they do, and sometimes even what they do don't help. Then we have
Yeah.
to go take some of theirs and tweak it to our bodies and so on. So try to do it. Of course, you have to, man. If you want to be the best, you have to train a lot, but try not to do exactly the same as everybody else, because then you're gonna be behind. Like
Yeah.
that's what I feel like. I sat and drilled bolos for 3 hours at the time. Yeah, there's a certain point where you have to do like learn the movements, but after a certain amount of time, it's just about sparring with a moderate amount of resistance,
Mm.
thinking about it, reflecting upon what you're doing. Okay, like it's quality over quantity. And
Yeah.
I really saw that with Espen and Tommy. I came up there once when I was 18, and I was like training 5 hours a day with like random people, but just getting work in, tough work, toughest guy, biggest guy in the room, always fucking ego approach, man. Really bad martial artist. It's not samurai mentality.
Mm.
Trying to beat everybody up. Like, man, they trained 2 hours a day. It was 5 minutes, 5 minutes, and you go, I go, and more or less everything was active drilling or sparring. And they became the best in the world within
Yeah.
a very short period of time, because they everything they did was thought behind it, and they try to do different. They try to do their own, and that's like you can do it without overtraining. You should push your body, but you shouldn't push your body to the point where it breaks.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna have to win worlds at 25, not at 16. Nobody cares if you win juvenile worlds. It's only your friends right now that do that. And now I've won like tournaments as a juvenile. If I say that out loud, I feel embarrassed. I think it's cool. I'm not going to use that as an accomplishment. Like
Yeah.
it's a very good accomplishment. Be very proud of it, but it's not where you stop. It's where you start.
Yeah. You mentioned now Tommy and Espen and Prana also. Did you travel around to train at more places, or was it mainly in Scandinavia? Have you been to
Mainly in
USA and
Scandinavia. I've been to USA. I've been affiliated to Checkmat all my life until I moved to Viva Zapata here in my later days, teaching and fighting
yeah.
out of there. But I've been training a lot with like the who's of Checkmat, all of them. Like and like have had camps with Lucas Leach at our gym for 3-4 weeks at the time, multiple times. Trans have been there, Thiago Sa, like Yuri Simos, everybody. Like if I haven't been at their gym, they have probably been to ours, because ours has been like recognized as one of the best gyms of Europe since 15 years ago.
Mm.
So and I, man, like the room I grew up in, Shanti, Ida, Yanni Larsson, world
Yeah.
champion black belt, France. Like the amount of inspiration I had from that room, insane. And my professor too, so knowledgeable. Like I couldn't ask for a better training room myself. But the only problem I needed was younger training partners, the
Yeah.
same way as me. I went to Prana, I went to Norway, went to America, and also in my like brown belt and black belt, I've been to Brazil. Yeah.
How would you compare, if you compare the scenes, for example, Denmark and Sweden, mainly Denmark and Sweden, also Norway, the level of jiu-jitsu generally in these countries compared to Europe, but also compared to each other? How do you think they rank?
Rank is hard to say. It
Mm.
comes in waves. It comes in waves. But one thing
Yeah.
is for sure is like Denmark and Norway have always been like result-wise better than Sweden.
Yeah.
Denmark from day one have been better than all of them. Later days, Norway has taken over. Like because Alexander Trans winning double gold as a brown belt at Worlds, winning Europeans open weight at black belt, Brasileiros should have won Worlds if he didn't get fucked over by the refs a couple of times. So on. And then Janni Larsson was not made in Sweden; she was made in Denmark. Like
Mm.
it was won all her titles out of Denmark. Double gold purple belt, double gold brown, black belt worlds, world pro. Like I was witnessing all of that when I was a kid. So like I think still result wise, Denmark is still way ahead of Sweden if you look at longevity-wise.
Yeah.
But Norway at top. I would say Sweden and Denmark sharing more or less the same place, because we have some athletes in Denmark that are not talked about that much. We have William Tregard, we have me, we have Kasper Larsen, Alexander Trant sometimes pops in on the scene. You know,
Yeah.
William don't even have no social media, but he have won World Pro twice in the last couple of years. Plays at
He's
all
good. I
the
have seen him. I have seen him compete. He's good.
yeah, definitely. If you win World Pro back to back, it's in
Yeah.
blue, like, and he should have won. Like he won. Like I was down there fighting World Pro with him when he was a blue belt in Corona, and he won World Pro at blue, and then he went back because they didn't have a. It was a little messed up that I can't remember. 2020, they didn't have anything, so they did the 2020 World Championships in 2021 early, and then they did the 2021 championship later in December. So
Uh-huh.
like April, and then so he went back as a purple belt and fought people who are already in purple belt for 3 years. So maybe they're 6, 7 years into their competitive career, and he literally dominated onto the finals, and he dominated that person. But there was a new rule in that was like golden score, right? And
Uh-huh.
this person literally don't pass him. He just does a quick pass by and puts a knee on belly, like William inverted immediately, but the rest were like 1 point, and then he lost the finals. And
Mm.
he came back and won a purple belt. So like I think I was about to say like there's a lot of unspoken names. Kasper Larsen also in Denmark won Europeans Nogi last year at the super heavy. Have been doing super well all over the international scene. He's not from my master's academy, but he used to train there. Really good guy, really good jiu-jitsu. So I'd probably say our Nogi scene is maybe better. The competitors, like if you put me and Kasper together and William together, it's better than Sweden would be even now.
What do you prefer, gi or no gi?
Competitive wise, Nogi,
Okay.
because I feel like the abuse of steroids don't matter as much Nogi,
Okay.
because you can't, like in the gi is so much gripping strength. You know, many
Uh-huh.
of the famous academies out there, and also some of the athletes, uh, you can see their game is so based on grips, and you can't break their grips. And they are really good technicians, but it helps a little bit being on growth hormone and testosterone. That I can't break a grip. I've been in situations where I've met people that are like, I was at Brazilian nationals. I fought 94 kilos. I was a strong 94. Like if you look at a room, like if we're all natural, I'll probably be on that podium. But then I meet a guy in my quarterfinals. Uh, uh, I think he was from Canada, but he was in Brazil fighting. But he had literally pimples from his head down his like whole his chest, his neck. He looked like an
Dang.
orc. Yeah, right. And it's the first time in my life, other than training rooms, where somebody gripped me, and I was like, I'm not getting away. I'm literally not getting away. I couldn't break a grip on him, you know.
Dang.
And then I realized, like, and then I'm 100% sure if I fought the same guy in Nogi, I'll whip his ass on a technical level. You know,
Mm.
I couldn't get away. Like it was physically, and I was feeling strong. I was feeling good. Nothing was wrong. I couldn't break one grip. How are you gonna fight somebody if you can't break a grip on them?
Yeah, it's
It's
tough.
So for me personally, that was like the thing that really changed everything. That the gripping part, that I don't feel like I can play along in it. I don't feel like I have the strongest grips, and I think it means a whole difference. I feel I'm strong, but not gripping strong.
Yeah. I feel like no gi in Sweden is very far behind gi, like in terms of popularity. Um, I don't know
I
why
don't
that is.
maybe in Malmö, but come to open mat here in Stockholm, you're gonna see a lot of heavy
Yeah, yeah,
hitters
but
out there.
generally there's like for every no gi competition, there's like 5 gi competitions. It
Yeah,
feels like that.
I don't really think that here, not either in our region here up in Stockholm, because like we have ADCC Sweden up here that pushes out like 3, 4 events a year. Like we have SVL that also pushes out All
Yeah,
Stars. Pushes out. Maybe for like a higher level athlete, there's no like real. It's the only tournament I really would say is like it's like ADCC Sweden and SM Nogi. Other than that,
yeah,
we don't have like Nordic Open that is like every like how do you say, for sure there there are more opportunities gi and more better players fighting gi, but like go to SM Nogi. We got a lot of good guys like Julius Sunderud, Liam Elping, Oscar Svelst, me, Carl Pegers fights there. What's this guy Anton from up north who's fantastically good too?
Anton Öberg, something like
Yeah,
that.
man, are so freaking good. So
Yeah,
many guys that I just think it's just a matter of time, man. Like
yeah,
let's just say there are people that come through our training room from many places and don't look good for them. I just think it's a matter of time before. And up here, at least in Stockholm, we have a very fluid scene on Nogi. Everybody trains with each other.
yeah,
Everybody friends helps each other across the teams. So it's like even people that fight each other like help each other in the day-to-day training because we see much further than winning here now. So I think it's just probably you're right, but maybe I'm also in a little bit of my own bubble with a lot of good athletes. So I can't really see it from an objective
yeah.
perspective.
Okay. How was it to go to Brazil? You mentioned you competed in the nationals. How was it to be in Brazil and to compete there?
It was fantastic to get to fight. I fought both in the Brazilian Nationals and Rio Pro Open. Both of the tournaments, it's a different vibe there. People are a little more passionate. It's just the culture. Like
Yeah.
Jantelon is not there. Like people scream a little more. Some people bring a little bit of drums to the tournament. You'd never like if somebody brought a drum to Danish Open or Nordic Open. You'd be like, what the fuck,
Like football hooligans.
or like who brought the weird uncle? Like somebody come get. you that's so. But I would say like fighting there or just the culture, general training. What is the idea? Is it the whole training scene there or?
Yeah, the training. Did you train or just compete? Where did you go? Who did you meet?
Both of the times I was there, I trained and competed. Like I was in Rio and I trained in a fight zone, and then I trained in Cantagalo, like the favela of the like Finfu,
Yeah,
multiple other champions from there, like Nameless Terere, like come from there. Jansan Gomez, uh, all of them are fantastic, really scrappy up there, really good technical level. And in fight zone, Hiko's gym, I also trained in Rio, and then I trained at what's it called? Yeah, I train in Sao Paulo at my friend's academy called
mm,
BJ Lab, and I train at Barbosa's team, which is like where Murillo Santana is from, where Leandro Lowe is originally from, where it's like Cicero Costa comes from that gym, but then he made his own project at the side, so they were always connected to like Barbosa
yeah,
somehow. What? So I was there. That was actually, I think, compared to everything I've trained, like that was the coolest experience I've ever seen because it's like competitive training at 11 o'clock in the day, and like literally there was 40 black belts on the mat,
damn.
10, 10 brown belts, 5 purple belts, 3 blue belts, and most of them are older guys, but they're all like scrappy as
Yeah,
hell. Like for, I really got to get a feeling of how scrappy they were because like um I like one guy was scrapping when I did like a takedown. I almost took him out of the mat. I could have kept going. I let go. I stopped. I walked away. The guy literally jumped on my back while I walked off and began choking. And then he was, never before, I never turned the back to anybody. Okay, sir. Like, what am I gonna do? But it was really cool because the coach there, he's like, he was on the national team, Marcos Barbosa. He was
mm,
on the national team of judo. I think he was Olympian judo, and then he
oof.
was a black belt, like one of the first black belts of Sao Paulo, like competitive black belts. So like I saw him compete at the Brazilian nationals, and he's like 76 kilos, and he like threw all the big guys in the absolute and choked them from top, like with pressure. And I was just
Damn.
like, and that's Murillo Santana's coach. The guy
Ah,
was no most pressure in the world. And then you understand, okay, now I understand where the pressure comes from. So
yeah,
I think other than my own gym at home and my master, like that was like my biggest like man, I've met Rodolfo, everybody like they're super fucking cool. But that was like I think of my pedicle of the coolest things I've ever, like, people don't know him in Europe, but for me, like B9 being there, like that's the origin of like Murillo Santana, Miao, Leandro, all the greats we think about, So that was
Yeah.
so cool.
I remember back in the days it was a lot more popular to go to Brazil. Everybody wanted to go to Brazil, but now it's more America. So how would you compare the difference? Is there a difference in training, USA compared to Brazil, in training methods and I don't know,
I,
philosophy?
it's very hard to say. Like, I've also only searched good training rooms, so it's like objectively, I'm not that. But let's just say, like, I felt like so many people were black belts in Brazil, but didn't hold the rank of black belt. Like, it's just a lot of people that done it for a long time. That's just like, like, it would be somebody who played soccer their whole life in Sweden, but still
Yeah.
sucks. Like, but they got 5 stripes on their black belt. Where I
Yeah.
feel like in Scandinavia, for example, if you have 5 stripes on your black belt or 4 stripes on your black belt, you come from the OG scene of Malmö, what's it called, Peter Blackwell, and so on. And that's a scrappy academy. That means you're a competitor. That means you're good.
Mm.
Daniel Hartman, what's it called, Stefan, like
Yeah. My
everybody.
coach.
Exactly. Everybody's like scrappy. Like
Yeah.
they good jiu-jitsu. They're from Leo Vieira. They're from Peter Blackwell. But
Yeah.
in Brazil, it's not that lineage. It's a lot
Yeah.
of different lineages, and
Yes.
there are a lot of good people. But since the sport got so much bigger, you also feel it today. Before time, every time you met a black belt, you're going to get an ass whipping. Today, you meet a black belt,
Yeah.
it's not vibe. So I think that's what I felt in Brazil. So many black belts. I like it was, and in America, yeah, I don't know. I feel it's the same as Brazil. It's so
Yeah. It's
outwarded.
the Brazilians there anyway, so
It's outwarded. It's a lot of academies. Like,
yeah.
if you don't go to academy, that's good. You're probably gonna meet some quite shit jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Uh, where in Scandinavia, it's quite like almost all academies, like at least in the big cities, if they have over 100 members, you're quite sure you're gonna find some good people there.
Yeah. How come? Or wait, no. I wanted to ask you about the. You said that you were a big nerd about jujitsu. So who are some of the guys you have studied or who have inspired your game and your career in jujitsu?
Early stages, Rodolfo Vieira, and as a guard player, Karate Zapato, Antonio Carlos Jr., Shoeface.
Ah,
He's in the
yeah,
UFC now on PFL, but he's the first guy who was a big guy I felt played a really nice modern guard. There are people like Pirapano and so on that plays like some kind of an open guard, like. But as a big guy, that was like he played Brombolos, he played 50-50.
mm,
He have like flying triangle Bernardo Ferrer, has flying
damn,
triangle Low, has flying triangle Gary Tonin. So like even though he had a impassable guard to pass, he was still like innovative. Like, if I can compare him to anybody like nowadays, of course it's not the same level as like 15 years ago or something. He was in his peak, or it would be like Shay from Wales, or where he's from, like the guy, the roosterweight that does all these crazy
Shay Montague or something like this. Yeah,
like, when I looked at him, I was just like, it's the same way I look at him today. It's like, wow, that's innovative. That's crazy. He did like I think he beat Humul Bahal on a Kimura from 50-50 as a,
what?
I like put a spider guard on him and then gripped around, and then like
Ah,
he just inspired me to think out of the box. And then, like, I think all in all, before Dorino came in the UFC, fuck man, so athletic, so savage. Like, he
he's
was worth
crappy.
a different frequency, bro. Like, it was those three were my favorite. Nowadays, it's more Nogi guys. Like, I find inspiration from many people, but I find inspiration from a lot of the. Right now, my inspiration is a lot based on the UK scene, like Taylor Perman and Eugene O'Flanagan. I'll probably face them, but I really think they've been innovative, and there's a lot of stuff to learn from them. So I've really been looking at them lately because they set the bar very high.
Yeah. How come that you moved to Sweden to train and then you stayed? But how come that you stayed in Sweden permanent?
So I moved to Sweden first when I was a kid, and then I moved back to Denmark and trained there. Opened
Huh.
my own academy even closed it down at Corona, and then I I began dating my girlfriend, one of the best to do it ever out of Sweden, female wise, Martina Gavenius. She she later became my baby mama, so that's why I'm here. And I got my
Uh-huh.
dream job was Zapata SPR, where I coach full time.
Yeah. How is it to be a coach? Have you been inspired by your own coach, and what kind of challenges do you face when having students and trying to guide them?
I've said this before. I've said it on other platforms. Like, I think the thing that my coach said to me that helped me the most as a coach is like, not everybody want to be good. And I
Mm,
felt like I'm a very passionate person and very nerdy. So that was like a quote that really stick to me that could like take a little bit of the Asperger's away in a social interaction, like in that way. Because I think many coaches do it wrong. They don't see who's a hobbyist and who wants it. And I really would like to believe the best in everybody, but at a certain point as a coach, you just have to look at actions. And like that speaks loud. Like if it comes to training every day, man, I have some people that say they want to be competitors, but their action don't speak it, like,
yeah.
and then I have people that don't want to be competitors, but these are the people I invest the most time in because they come to training every day and they're curious about jujitsu. So I have like a couple of like older guys that I really find, and also I have one female who's like 50 years old, man, purple belt, mom of three, like who comes to all my trainings, and literally now she's heel hooking like athletic men, like young men, and she's 50 years old, like
Cool.
I want to invest the time in people who invest in training. That's like
Yeah.
as a coach.
Yeah.
Um, I want to work with competitors, but I want to work with competitors at the right time and the right place where it comes to if they're ready for it themselves. Like if a competitor comes into my academy and wants my help and they want to represent our banner, I'll definitely put time on them. And everybody knows almost in Sweden, like many people come by my academy was not affiliated to me, and I still help them. I really love just helping in jiu-jitsu. But the main thing is like not everybody wants to be good, and like I've been coaching since I was 15 years old, man. Like I've been coaching like many times a week since I was a kid. So
Yeah.
like being a coach is nothing new. This is what I've been living off for like the last 8 years, even in Denmark. So like it's nothing new. It's just like it's great to get the opportunity to coach people so much. Now I have like 10 classes a week, and top on that of my own training and private classes. It's inspiring to watch. I have like a couple of students where I'm like, damn, when I look out in the room, I'm like, shit, he got good, and that is or she got good, and that's fantastic to watch. Like training once a day, 5 days a week, and their level is just one thing
Yeah.
I would say. Coach right now, I find it a little more fun to work with hobbyists because they have the right mindset. They're actually willing to try. Where I've had worked with some competitors previously. That's also why I like to work with Liam because we're both willing to try.
Mm,
Where competitors I've worked with, you can look at many people on the scene. Nothing has changed in their game from 10 years ago till today. They just got tougher and better. Like
yeah.
at that. And I don't want to be that coach, or I don't want to create those athletes. You can
Mm,
also see why John Danaher does so well. Why many of because they keep innovating. They
yeah.
keep putting skills to and that's probably why more people haven't gotten better in some places in the world than others, that they maybe didn't have the right mindset.
Yeah. What are your plans for the future? Are you planning to compete more and keep pursuing competitions, or stick to being a coach?
I think both, but the main thing is like I want to get better at jiu-jitsu in all ways. Like if you get better, you'll win. That. So I want to stay active also as a competitor. So you're
Mm,
gonna see me more on the. I've had like heavy problems with back problems. I have 3 herniated discs and a ischias nerve to the point where I was pissing my pants.
oof.
I had like 2 years of period where I didn't have a choice. I still fought a couple of times, but that was actually more of economical reasons. That was because of Nordic Open gave 5,000 krona out. That's why I fought. But you're gonna see me at Europeans Nogi coming up next weekend. Um, and you're gonna see me a lot more out in the world, and I'm gonna win some big titles. So keep an eye out. And I'm also gonna stay active here in Sweden, especially Nogi. I would like to cement myself as the best here for a long time.
Nice. Now we have some questions from the listeners. So we'll take them
Yes.
one by one and you can answer. Um, Balancing work, life, and kids. How do you balance everything?
Um, it's hard. Like there's nothing else. If you want to be a good parent, if you have a work and a good parent, you're going to be sleep deprived. Your training is going to lack. But it's listening to your body. One thing that I will say is try to do your best, but don't either hit yourself in the head if it don't become what you want it to be. Like
Mm.
I've had multiple results that I don't think was the best, but I also understand which part I'm in life. I have two kids. I have two small kids, and I have a full time work and so on. I believe I can do much better personally. Uh, but I think the main thing for me has been um, listening to my body, man. Like, there's nothing more valuable than your health. I have still a lot of trouble with my health. It's not that, but that have helped. First thing. Second thing is also just like doing what you can, man. Like, I think many people think jujitsu is just going to training. No,
Yeah.
like if you ever come to my classes or if somebody has been a student a longer time of mine, I don't like to do big speeches, but the only thing I say is like think about what you do, reflect about what you do. Like your one training can mean more than 20 if you just think about it. Many people don't think. They just take their head, put it under their arm, scrap. How they assess it at training every day is, did I get beat up or did I beat people up?
Yeah.
That's very far away from getting better.
Mm.
That's just putting assumption up on your ego, So reflect upon what's happening at training. Then with 2 to 3 times a week, if you can strive for that 2 to 3 times, I'm very sure about you can get quite good. That you're just consistent about those 2 to 3 times and you reflect upon it. Watch a
Yeah.
little bit of too. Yeah.
Nice. Next one is how do you balance technique and strength?
Uh, I think like strength is a thing that you have to have, but I think it's very helpful to go with personally the thing I developed the most with is going with lighter people and trying to follow their pace. Like uh, I think if you're not like willing to put insane amounts of time on weightlifting and so on, you're gonna find somebody who is stronger than you. And if you're not willing to do supplements that are not legal, you're also gonna find people who are stronger than you. So try to find people that you are compatible with, and try to follow a pace that is not based on strength. So you're one step ahead instead of thinking about I'm gonna be stronger. Because if you have just a minimum amount of strength, like as I said, I have a student, 50 years old, that submits young athletic people on
Yeah.
helos, right? So that means if you're a 50-year-old woman and can do that, you can probably also do it as a 30-year-old man, right? So that
Yeah.
just means that to leave your ego out of the equation and put yourself in bad situations. That's something I've only done like the last 2 to 3 years. Like let people get situations, let them get your back, let them get a guillotine. If you begin feeling comfortable for those situations, you're gonna get really good because you can attack all the time. You're not scared of losing one battle. You're thinking about the war in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one is most annoying guard player and most annoying passer. So yeah, best guard player or best passer.
I have practiced against.
You have sparred, practiced, competed against, whatever. It's not
I,
specified in the question.
I like definitely like for me the most annoying guard is still Max Lindblad's, because I fucking hate that kind of spider guard because you don't see it anymore. Like
Yeah.
it's a like a, a aged wine. It's a Michelangelo style. You never see it as clean as his style. They switch from uh, lasso to De La Hiva, and then it gets a lot easier because there's nothing in between you and I. If I just like dump down on you, I can get connection and somehow. But him, there's always a foot in between him and I. There's
Mm.
always 1 meter between him and me and his face. So that is like still to this day, the most annoying guard I've ever played against. Even though I feel like Tommy and Espen has maybe more aggressive guards, it's still not. There's more room for opportunity because they pull you in and out, in and out. Where his guard is like fully based on if I'm not under you, you're not getting close with me, and that's annoying. And the most annoying person I've had on top of me is definitely Rasmus Elstrom from
Oof.
bro. That's a fucking rock. That is the closest to Fort Knox you'll get. Like you're not moving that. It's a real safe.
I can
So
imagine.
that's it.
Then we have how do you balance family and being a high level competitor? We went over that already. The next question is, do you remember Sonny's birthday last year?
Yes, sir. I do. I know that person's question. Who is that from? That's from Mr. Khan. He remembers.
Yes.
We have had our battles with demons. Yes, that's for sure.
Next one is, who is the toughest sparring round in Sweden?
Shit, man, that's hard to say. It's on so different levels. Like, it would be somebody in the gi since it's more gripping wise. I feel like no gi, I can handle my ground against anybody almost in Sweden. Like at a nice rate. Like then it must be gi. Like it must be like a Nogi, I think in Sweden it's probably Marlon when I spar him. Like
Yeah.
Gi, it's Rasmus. That's like if I could say people who give me the most trouble in
Yeah.
training. These.
Cool. Last question. It's in Danish, but I'm gonna try to read it.
Yeah, perfect.
Hvornår smager en tuborg best?
Venosman, Tuborg best.
Yeah, that's the one.
He's like
What?
when does a beer taste? A Tuborg beer taste the best? Like in which time? And probably when I'm depressed because I don't drink, so I haven't really faced like tasting good beer. So probably if I had abuse of it or something, I don't know. Like if I felt very sad, that would probably be when it was tasting good because I think it tastes absolutely shit. Like I don't really like alcohol. It's not for. I don't. I've never accrued the flavor, so unfortunately, I'm the worst kind of Dane you can meet. Everybody rules me for it every time, so that's it. Yeah.
What do you have any sponsors or anybody you would like to give a shout out to?
Not really. Like I just would like to give a shout out to the people who support me, and I'd like to give a shout out to all the competitors that show up to this on the Swedish scene because it means a lot. And yeah, and everybody who have helped me through the years, and to you, Carlo, thank you for making a platform where we can talk. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Nice,
And
nice of you being here.
Sorry, a huge shout out to my baby mama because she supports me going out in the world and supports me in all ways. Like, that's one thing I didn't say is like it's also about having somebody that wants to accomplish your goals with you. Like if you have somebody who don't want to see you win, it'll be very hard because as an athlete, it's an egoistic thing. Like
Yeah.
like if you have somebody who wants you to fulfill your dreams, it's gonna be hard. So thanks to her, and that's more or less it. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's fine. Yeah. If somebody wants to train with you, where can they find you?
They can find me around the open mats in Stockholm. Like I train at both. Like I train like I coach out of Zapata, so you're gonna find me all days there. But then on Saturdays, Jiu-Jitsu Gospel open mat, BJ Lilleholmen. On Friday mornings, catch me at Stack. Okay, if you really want to, usually I go with the same people. They're tough people, but if you have seen this episode, you definitely can tips around with me.
Cool. Thank you for coming once again. It was really nice having you. Good luck with everything. And yeah,
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. See you.
Yeah.